Yesterday, the president met with the senators about North Korea, and that's been very much in the news, as you know. Did you hear from the president or from others in the administration a plan on how to deal with North Korea, which frankly has been the problem with presidents going back for some time?
Well, first, let me say I thought the briefing by his top national security advisors was very helpful. It did inform Congress of the thinking of the Trump administration, the tools that they have at their disposal, and how they plan to work with the international community, particularly China, in trying to increase the pressure on North Korea to change the way that they're behaving. The bottom line is we need to change North Korea's calculations that for the sake of their economy and for the sake of their security, they need to move away from their nuclear program.
And are you confident, Senator, that economic pressure can get the job done?
Well, I know that a military option is not desirable at all, that it would have horrible consequences. We've got to do everything we can on the diplomatic side. For the diplomatic side to work, you really got to turn on the pressure on North Korea economically, and that means China. And that could have an impact. Also, from the point of view of North Korea's security, China is a key partner. So therefore, working with China, we have our best chance to get North Korea to change their behavior through diplomatic channels.
Senator, as part of your responsibility in the Foreign Relations Committee, you take a look at how much money we're spending on foreign aid. There's a document that's come out in the press just in the last 24 hours giving a breakdown specifically of where those fairly deep cuts that we knew about in the skinny budget are going to come from. How disturbed are you by the sort of approach you're looking at? Is that something Congress will ultimately go along with?
Well, I've already voiced a strong opposition to the numbers that the president was talking about. The money that goes to our development assistance or goes to diplomacy is part of our national security budget. Our national security budget is not only the soldiers that we have, but it's also our diplomacy and development assistance. And the president's numbers here are just totally unacceptable. The good news is that many Republicans have expressed the same outrage against the proposals by the Trump administration.
So that takes us, Senator, to the question about this continuing resolution, because the question of where are we getting the money from, how are we spending the money? And frankly, we're getting conflicting reports. When I came in the office this morning, I heard that it was sort of all a done deal. There have been compromises made. Then we had the president tweeting out and said, no, we don't want to give the concessions that the Democrats were looking for on Obamacare. Where does that stand as far as you know? Are we going to shut down the government tomorrow or not?
I don't believe we'll shut down the government. I can tell you as a Democrat, we're going to do everything we can to keep government open, but it's the Republicans that control both the House and the Senate and the White House, and this budget should have been passed last October. We're talking about FY17 budget, not FY18 budget, which is the numbers you were asking me about before. These numbers had already been agreed to a long time ago in a bipartisan compromise between the Democrats and Republicans. So we should be able to get the FY17 budget done. I don't know of any major obstacles that are in the way of getting it finished, but it clearly is up to the Republican leadership to find the path forward to get this done.
Well, according to the president in the tweet, and we've heard this in other reports as well, the issue from their side is continuing these, what they would call subsidies for Obamacare that makes it more affordable for the poorer people among us. Has that been agreed to as far as you know? Is that something the Democrats insist on? Are the Republicans going along?
It's my understanding that President Trump has agreed that he will continue those payments. It does not require congressional approval. It can be done by the president because it's so-called mandatory spending. We also believe it would be helpful for us to include that in the budget, so we'll see whether the language gets in or not. But I think bottom line, the way that we make sure that these premiums are affordable for lower income and middle income families, that's been agreed to with the White House.
So finally, Senator, we did get this outline, I think it's fair to call it, about what the tax plan might be coming out of the White House yesterday. I'm sure you've gone over that. It's not very long. It's one page long. Are they consulting with the Democrats at this point about how to get something like this through the Congress, or is it simply being done within the Republican caucus?
Well, I can tell you, I am talking to my Republican colleagues in the Senate, and I hope that we will have a bipartisan process because we do need tax reform. I'm not aware of any conversations with the Trump administration before they release their outline. I must tell you, I don't consider it a credible proposal. It would blow a hole in the deficit. It would cause irreparable damage to our country. What we need is two basic principles agreed to, and then you can get bipartisan support. One is a matter of fairness. The tax relief needs to go to middle-income families. And secondly, it's got to raise the revenue we say it's going to raise. You can't just increase the deficit.